know. I was overwhelmed. We've been asking for protection. We've been asking for consequences for more than 6 years. And today, for the first time, it happened. For the very first time, we see Assad held accountable just for once. Held accountable for his crimes against humanity. I was overwhelmed. I felt grateful for President Trump. I felt grateful for the United States. I felt grateful for each and every person who lobbied and called and kept on talking until someone actually listened.
There are people in America, and I hear you supportive of President Trump, and so many people are, Democrats and Republicans, but there are also people over here in America who are saying, all right, so clearly President Trump is motivated by just, as we all have compassion for these just horrible images of these babies who were killed, but at the same time, this is a man who doesn't want Syrians to come into this country with this refugee ban. I want to just play some sound. Hillary Clinton weighed in.
We cannot in one breath speak of protecting Syrian babies and in the next close America's doors to them.
Quickly, Qasim, how do you see that?
With all due respect, I didn't see each and every person who was demonstrating after the travel ban. I didn't see you 3 days ago when people were gassed to death, when civilians were gassed to death. I didn't see you in 2013 when 1,400 people were gassed to death. I didn't see you raising your voice against President Obama's inaction in Syria that led us refugees, that made us refugees get kicked out of Syria. If you really care about refugees, if you really care about helping us, please help us stay in our country. We don't want to come to the United States. We want to stay in our country. We want to stay in our country. With all due respect, this is hypocrisy. If you really care, help us stay in our country. We don't want to become refugees. We want to stay in our country. Help us establish safe zones. Help us stay safe in our country. And if you just give me a few seconds just to tell President Trump once again, please, sir, what you did was amazing. What you did was a powerful message of hope for a lot of people inside and outside of Syria. Please don't stop on this. Please help Syrians stay in their country. Please establish safe zones. Please take out Assad air forces so they won't be able to commit more atrocities using traditional weapons. 500,000 people were killed with traditional weapons, just so people can know what we have suffered in the past 6 years.
Well, I know that many of you have not seen that clip, and I wanted to play it for you because of the demand of the Syrian people that the United States get involved in their civil war, which is a war between Sunnis and Shias. And I'm going to talk about Shia Islam and today and help you to understand what's going on there. Now, there's going to be a tremendous pull for Trump to continue assisting the Sunnis in Syria. Okay, these are Sunni Islamic people, and they are asking the United States to take their side. And of course, Barack Obama did take their side with the Muslim Brotherhood out of Egypt, but of course that had consequences for the Coptic Christians in Egypt, as well as other parts of the world. The Muslim Brotherhood and Shia Islam are the two competing ideologies out there, and there's a divide in Islam, in the Islamic world, between Shias and Sunnis. And I'm going to talk about some of that today, but mostly I'm going to focus on Shia Islam. This Bible study is called Shia, 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 and it's about what's going on over there and how it's going to affect all of us, and it's part of God's plan. So I'm going to go to the PowerPoint slide here and just want to point out some statistics. Iran, 95% of the people in Iran are Shia. In Iraq, it's almost 70%. And there's actually two competing schools of theology between these two countries, and it's important to understand. In Syria, this number is way inflated. There's only 7% of the people in Syria are Shia. They're called the Allawites. Assad is an Allawite. In Lebanon, of course, we're familiar with Hezbollah. Nearly half of Lebanon is now Shia. Okay? And Hezbollah is the acting state for Iranian hegemony. The Iranians want to take over the world. There's a tremendous amount of Shias in Afghanistan. They've come and they've begun to fight in the war. There's over 100,000 soldiers between Afghanistan, Iran, and Iraq, and Shia states. You see that Bahrain has almost 75% is Shia, Kuwait 20%, Oman, Yemen about 20%. And we see that Iran is trying to practice hegemony. They want to have the caliphate. And you'll see this Iranian crescent and what they're trying to do. And they're trying to establish their caliphate, okay, through force. And their mission is to destroy Israel to gain the caliphate. They know they can unite Sunnis and Shias if they take on Israel and destroy it. And that is their mission. And that's why it's important to all of us. So here's my outline today. I'm going to talk about the Shia version of Islam, the hierarchical structure of Shia Islam, the two centers of Shia theology, embarrassment of Putin, and the fall of Assad that will happen here fairly quickly. The rise of Mahdi, the charismatic Shia Assyrian, we're going to talk about that, the prophecies in the Bible and the way that Shias believe. The Hezbollah gambit, the Shia claim to the caliphate legitimacy, and Gog Magog, the Sunni response to the Mahdi caliphate. So here's the Shia version of Islam. The caliphate, in their mind, belongs to Muhammad's family lineage. Okay, now there have already been 11 members who've become caliph, or as they call imam. To be an imam, you have to be part of Muhammad's lineage. And 11 of these imams have occurred. One is missing. They call that the hidden imam, the hidden one. He is the Mahdi. Now, the Shias follow Ali, who married Muhammad's daughter Fatima. He was the fourth imam. The Sunnis follow Abu Bakr. He is the first imam. So you can see that there's 11 of these imams have appeared. And the 12th one is hidden, according to Shia version of Islam. Of course, the Sunnis disagree with all that. So Muhammad, I'm just going to refer to him as M. His successor is divinely, according to Shia, divinely appointed next prophet by God from M's direct patrilineage, male heir from his family. This imam is infallible. The Shias can only receive divine grace from imams. In other words, in Sunni Islam, imam is the teacher at the mosque. Not so in Shia Islam. Okay, it doesn't work that way. Their version of the imam is that he has to be divinely appointed next prophet by God in the family of Muhammad. And he has the right to become caliph, which is the religious interpreter as well as the political leader of all Shias. That's what caliph means. Now we're going to learn a few Arabic words today, and Islam is tightly tied to Arabic. To understand Islam, you've got to understand the Arabic language and the culture that goes with it. And of course, the Shias in Iran are Persian, which leads to some difficulties and some interesting dilemmas for them. So imams inherit divine grace. They are not elected, although in Sunni Islam they are elected and sent to the mosque. Shias believe in 12 successors of Muhammad, so they're known as the Twelvers. And of course, they're waiting for the 12th imam, their Mahdi, or Messiah, if you will. So the Mahdi, the Messiah, is the 12th successor of Muhammad. He's divinely hidden until revealing. I'm not exactly sure how they think about this. Do they think of it as the ascension, like Jesus was resurrected and ascended? Has he been sort of like a ghost for, I guess, 1,400 years? I'm not exactly sure about that, but that's what they believe. So there's a divide in the Muslim world between Shia and Sunni, and it has to do with the Mala and Mahdi. Okay, so I'm going to talk about what that means. In Hadith, now these are early traditions or reports after Muhammad's death, which helped them construct their dictionary and their lexicon. So Hadith is kind of like Talmud, if you will, or commentary, but they're typically stories and illustrations about Muhammad's life and his actions. Now, the Sunnis and the Shias have a different dictionary for one Arabic word. This word is Mala, okay? And this is where their divide begins. For Shias, the word means Lord, Master. That would be Muhammad's successor. But for the Sunnis, the word means beloved, revered, or a mosque leader. You can see the difference is that this means somebody who is directly related to Muhammad. Even after he died, somebody's very close, family member. He becomes divinely appointed. He becomes infallible. but for Sunnis it just means mosque leader. Now, this difference in dictionary is similar to what 3rd century Greeks and Latin Christians went over for the word person. They each had a different definition of person. So the Greeks defined person as an entity, a being, whereas in the Latins, the person was a face or a revelation or mode. So you can see how having a different dictionary can cause division. The Sunnis believe the imams are elected, as I said. Shias believe they inherit the office. Sunnis believe Mahdi is a restorer of Islamic justice. He's a future caliph, whereas Shias believe that Mahdi is hidden and will appear during a time of chaos, that is the end time. But they also believe that Jesus will appear with him. So I'm not exactly sure how they got that incorporated into their Quran, but that's what they believe. Now, there's a hierarchical structure of Shia Islam. Okay, we're going to talk about that. There's 4 authority levels in Shia Islam. Level number 1 is Imam. That's that divinely inspired descendant of Muhammad, subject only to the Quran, the Word of God. He alone has the right to be Caliph. That's political leader of all Shia nations, the Ummah. The Mahdi is the hidden Imam of the Twelvers. Both people are called Twelvers, are called Usulai. They wait for him to appear during the time of chaos, the time of the end. Next is the idea of the Grand Ayatollah. This is the supreme legal authority. He's a scholar, a scholastic legal expert, also known as a marji. He's elected by a council of other marji. Okay, they elect the Grand Ayatollah. So marji are elected from a class of scholars by other Shia Muslims. The Grand Ayatollah is a legal head of a nation. That word is Ummah, such as Iran or Iraq, ruling only until the appearance of the next Imam. That would be the 12th Imam, who is hidden. The Grand Ayatollah of Iran is Ali Khamenei. He succeeded Ayatollah Khomeini during the 1979 revolution. The Grand Ayatollah of Iraq is also, or is a Grand Ayatollah. His name is Ali al-Sistani. Every country has their own Grand Ayatollah. So the Grand Ayatollah of Lebanon is Fadlaha. A marji must write a book, a risala, of their legal rulings. Recall that I did say that Hezbollah would be important in this thing. The next authority level is the marji. This is a Shia scholar. It's not a Grand Ayatollah. A spiritual leader called a mujtahid, a thinker, from a seminary school, which is called a haza. That's a school of clerics and students. He's also a mosque leader who issues legal opinions by means of written fatwas. That's interpretations of Sharia law. He is elected in his school by other marji who are his followers. They're called muqallid. I think that's how you pronounce it. He must demonstrate wisdom, piety, justice, and compassion. And that's their means for electing a marji who can become a Grand Ayatollah. And then finally, there's these jurists. These are kind of like judges. This is a fiqh. He's an expert in Islamic case law and jurisprudence, like a judge and a jurist. Now notice that all muqallid are followers and imitators. That word is taqlid, of a marji. That is somebody who has the potential to become an ayatollah, Grand Ayatollah. So a follower accepts the fatwa of a marji to be true and in force without examining the process of evidentiary jurisprudence. And I noted that. Okay, moving on. There's 2 centers of Islamic theology based on the Quran. So the Quran is the primary document. That's Muhammad's message, 114 chapters, called Surah. Took him 23 years to dictate it. He didn't write it. Many people think he was illiterate. The Hadith, which were written illustrations of jurisprudence from those closest to Muhammad's life after his death. These are kind of like stories that illustrate what being a Muslim was all about. And then Sunnah are called oral transmissions of Hadith of Muhammad's lifestyle and actions. And of course, it's great controversy over these Hadiths. There's little controversy over the Quran, but the Hadiths is where Shias and Sunnis typically fight. Now, there's 2 theological centers. One is the city of Qom. That's in Iran. It's 100 miles southwest of Tehran. It's in the northern half of Tehran. It's the world's largest center of Shia Islamic scholarship with 50 seminaries, also known as Haza, and 250 libraries. Now, Qom City counts 45,000 scholars and students living there, doubling since the 1979 revolution of Ayatollah Khomeini. Now, Haza is the largest seminary and has a worldwide reach of over 40,000 scholars and students in 200 facilities spread over 80 countries. So Qom is the city of the Ayatollahs of Iran. Now Najaf is the city of the Ayatollahs of Iraq. It's a city in central Iraq, 100 miles south of Baghdad, 25 miles south of ancient Babylon. It is the historical center of Shia Islamic scholarship, with Najaf, Haza, I can't pronounce that next word, Al-Ilmiya, which means enclave of knowledge, is the most prominent seminary. And so these are the two cities, and the Ayatollahs actually are scholars, and that's what I want everybody to understand, is that in Iran, their Grand Ayatollah is also a political leader, okay, very much like a Mahdi, okay, very much like a Caliph. But in Iraq, he is not. He works with secular government. And that's one of the differences in the schools of theology there, is that in Iraq, they view the secular government as being those that should implement Sharia law, whereas in Qom, the Ayatollahs take responsibility, and they've created a theological state, a theocratic state in Iran, whereas these guys have not. And of course, when George Bush went into Iraq, he didn't really understand the differences of these people and made many errors. If you remember, the governor there was a guy named Bremer, and there was a lot of errors made with these people. And I think finally the United States understands it. I'm not sure that the people that work with President Trump understand it. So here you'll see the typical Islamic flag. This is the unity flag. Red, black, white, and green. These are the four colors of the horsemen of the apocalypse found in Revelation 6, 1 through 8, where it says they will take 1/4 of the world, which is Islam, to death and to hell. Okay, but in other translations of the Bible, it's a little different. So I'm going to talk a little bit more about this. Syria is a fragmented state. Only 7% of its population are Shia Allawite 12ers. 10% are Christians, 3% are Druze, Muslims, and 75% are Sunni that follow the Muslim Brotherhood doctrine. Now, there's been a call for Assad to step down after Trump's missile strike by prominent Shia Ayatollahs, and I'm going to show you one here. Iran and Afghanistan Shias have invested 100,000 soldiers fighting against ISIS and Sunni Islam in general in Syria. That's their mission. They want to establish hegemony from Iran, Afghanistan, all the way into Egypt. That's their goal, is to wipe out Sunni Islam, which they view as a false religion. Now, Russia has built seaports and air bases in Allawite territory, and they've got a vested interest. So the question is, will Assad step down? I believe he's going to here shortly. He's going to fall. Who will replace Assad? Russia and the Shia Ayatollahs will decide. And this is the person that could very well be the Gog and Magog of the Bible, the leader of this alliance. So here you can see that how divided Syria is. You can see that from Aleppo down here. These are mostly Sunnis down here. Up in here, from Lebanon to Latakia, this is the city of Alawite and Shia Islam. Hezbollah is very strong down here. And up here in Antioch in Turkey, there's a lot of Christians mixed in, and the Alawite version of Islam is syncretic. It's got some Christian elements mixed into it, like most of Islam does. Now, this guy, this morning, this is the Iraqi Ayatollah al-Sadr. He has asked Assad to step down. This man is created quite a bit of problems in Baghdad when the Americans were there. He raised an army, and he kind of went against the school of Najaf that said that religious people should not be in secular government. He wanted to establish an Islamic Republic of Iraq, very much like Iran, and that's who that guy is. He's very, very powerful in Iraq, but not as powerful as Sistani, people that follow them. So let's talk about the Assyrian prophecies in the Bible. Daniel 11:40 says, "At the time of the end shall the king of the south push at him, and the king of the north, Syria, shall come against him like a whirlwind with chariots, horsemen, and with many ships." So Daniel prophesies a struggle between Egypt, which is the center of the Muslim Brotherhood and Sunni Islam, and Syria, which is Alawite, which Iran is trying to use surrogates to establish a Shia kingdom there. Okay, they want a unified Shia kingdom, a caliphate. Isaiah 10 talks about the Assyrian. In this case, many people have interpreted this to be Sennacherib, who carted away Israel into the north and punished northern Israel as God's instrument. However, many see this as a near-far prophecy of an end-time Assyrian who will lead Gog-Magog armies against Jerusalem. And Christians throughout the last 2,000 years have interpreted this Assyrian to be the leader of Gog-Magog, or possibly the Antichrist. And the most prominent of them was a man named Hippolytus, who was an end-time theologian of, I believe he was in the 3rd or 4th century. I can't recall right now, but his name was Hippolytus. Now, Revelation 6:8 says this: I looked, and behold, a green horse. And I got this from the Jubilee Bible, because in the King James it says pale horse, and that word is green. That is the Greek word behind it. I beheld a green horse, and he that was seated upon him was named Deadly, and Hades followed with him, and power was given unto him over 1/4 of the earth, to kill with sword, hunger, death, and the beasts of the earth. Now, this is either leading all of Islam, which is 1/4 of the earth, which I think is what it means, or it could be the cataclysmic Gog-Magog battle that's going to be gruesome. So we see that Iran has positioned missiles. There's something like 100,000 missiles that Hezbollah controls in Lebanon, and they've tried to bring chemical weapons into Syria. Israel has bombed their caravans, so they try to bring chemical weapons into Lebanon. And of course, here's the green color is the color of Iran, and that has been there's their flag, and we know that they are wanting to establish Shia hegemony. We call this the Shia crescent, as the King Hussein of Jordan said. And of course, we know that what they're trying to do is to lead the Muslim world through the victory of destroying Israel. That's their mission. It's not that they want Israel destroyed or Christianity destroyed. They want to lead the Muslim world, and that's really what they're after. Well, I apologize for the microphone being a little goofed up today, but I think we got the gist of what we're trying to talk about today, is that America is being sucked into this Gog-Magog struggle. It was horrific to see babies being killed by chemical weapons, and Trump responded. He didn't respond with anything so monumental that it would close that airstrip, etc. But you can see from the beginning of the YouTube that the Sunni Syrians desperately want the United States in to counter Russia in this Gog-Magog alliance. Now, if Iran, is able to appoint this next leader who will attack Israel from the north, which is prophesied in Ezekiel 38:39, then the whole Muslim world will follow them, including the Sunnis. So it's possible that he'll be a uniter. He'll span the divide of Sunni Shia differences, because he'll be a great hero. But it's destruction. I would love to have a triumphal entry Palm Sunday message today, but I don't have that. I am speaking a concern that what's going on, that people don't see behind the scenes, that it's inevitable the United States is going to be sucked into this. You've already seen that left and right are praising President Trump, whom most of the secular media dislikes. They're praising him. Everybody loves somebody who can start a war. I don't at all like the pictures of babies being killed by chemical weapons, but there's something bigger behind all this that's coming. And I just wanted to blow the trumpet, so to speak. Well, that's all I have today. God bless you. Have a great time in church, and support your pastor this week, and bring somebody to church and let them experience the real Passover, the death, burial, resurrection of Jesus Christ. God bless you today in Jesus' name.